Hi everyone, welcome back. Okay, so what do we have right now here at the moment? We have lights at the top and there, and here as well down the bottom. So that's fantastic. So we've done that. We've added the grid, the grid, and using bump maps and a bit of displacement. And we also have added a bump map here at the top that gave us the indentation here. So again, so we're using in a normal sense, it's really just a bump map with some nodes that we added using Redshift. So really that's it. So we did that up the top and we did that to the side. Next, what we're going to do is we're going to add an indentation on either side of the grid. So if we look at the image of the actual Sonos device, you will see that, I'm just going to bring it up here. You will see that there's a little bit of indentation here on the left, right? So we want to basically mimic that. So all we have to do is very similar to what we've done here with the very top, where we had an indentation at the very top and we just pulled it in. So we're going to do the same thing. So it's going to meet up to the top part and come all the way down to the bottom, right? So all the way down here, and we have to do it on either side. Okay, so now first things first, let's go back to the model. So if you haven't done so yet, what I would like you to do is press N and B. That will give you the view. Remove the subdivision surface. So here the subdivision surface is on, and we're going to switch it off. Next thing, let's remove the Redshift render view. So we'll go back to standard view, and now we're set to go. Okay, first things first is we're going to basically move to the edge mode. Ensure that you have brush selection on. Go down to the cut tool. Let's go to the loop path cut. And here, now what we can do is simply apply the cut wherever we like. Now, if you don't do that, if you don't see this cut, it's okay. You can basically cut it a few times. The main point is to make sure that the cut goes all the way from the very top here, all the way down to the bottom over here. Okay, so let's go ahead and do that. So we're going to just basically apply a little cut. Make sure that the distance between the grid and the top part is about the same distance between the grid here and to the left, right? So we're going to eyeball a little bit and see if we can get it approximately right. Okay, that's that one. And we're going to do the same thing on the other side as well. Now let's have a quick look. And down the bottom, yeah, that's fine. That's perfectly fine. Okay, next what we're going to do is we're going to basically make sure that the brush selection is on. We are going to select just the parts that we want. So we go to bevel. So we're going to go to bevel later, but we just need to select everything. So let's go ahead and select that. Select. Okay. Shift and select. Okay, let's unselect this one. Okay, and unselect that one. So we should have this one big long line all the way from the top down to the bottom. Okay, now let's go back to the bevel again. Okay, so once you've selected the line, what we're going to do is apply the bevel tool. Now we don't want it to be too wide, so what we need to do is we need to make sure that it's that this value is going to be something like less than this. So we don't want it to be 0.13. So what we want to do is we want to bring it down. So this is 1, so we're going to bring it down to something like, let me just zoom in a little bit. So less than that. So we want it to be not 0. So maybe 0.01. Okay, that might be okay. Let's go from 0.008. Okay, so it's very, very, very thin. Okay, so now that we've done that, we need to go ahead and select the inner line of that bevel. So we're going to basically go to the brush selection and zoom in slightly until we can select the inner line. So we're going to basically pull this inner line inwards in towards the center of the speaker. Hold shift, don't forget to hold shift, otherwise you have to start again. Now let's decrease the size of the selection tool. There we go, much better. Okay, I believe we selected everything, so just a quick survey. Yeah. Okay, now what we have to do is eyeballing the right hand side and just make sure that we have agency on both ends so that we can see what we're doing. So you notice how that's a little bit, that's probably about right. So we don't want it to be too deep, otherwise you're going to get that gashing hole. And we don't want it to be outwards, so it has to be sort of just a little bit in, and that should be about right. So just eyeball it and you should be fine. Okay, now let's just zoom out, have a look. Yep. So just zooming into the yeah, and up. Yep, that looks perfect. Okay, so now what we have to do is exactly the same thing on the other side. So we've got this line, so we're going to basically select it from top to bottom and add a bevel. So let's go ahead and do that. So remember the bevel was 0.008, right? So it was a very, very small bevel size. Okay, so let's go ahead and add the bevel. And there it is. So we're going to basically, there. So as soon as you've done that, it would have done that for you. And that's the bevel. So next we need to just add, select the inner line of the bevel. Now, if we go ahead and click UL, what it will do is just connect all our lines. So if I go UL now, so it's going to select our lines that we really don't want. Now you could click that and then just unselect the other lines that you don't want clicked. So we can now go here and say hit rectangle and control and keep the control button. And therefore what that's going to do is just going to remove the lines that we don't need, remove visibility so that we are selecting everything. So you can do it this way, right? There's nothing wrong with this way either. It's just sometimes if you want to be precise, you've got to basically select all the lines. Now here as well, we can see that we have selection. So let's just select all these lines, holding control. And that's it. So that's another way, much faster. The other way is obviously very, very long, but it's a little bit more precise. It takes a little bit of patience, but you can do it that way as well. So this is another way of doing it. So we opted for this one, which is fine. Now what I want to do is using the right-hand side, I want to be able to gauge how close I'm getting in when I start pulling the inner line. So here it is. I'm just going to start pulling it in, and I should be seeing an indentation. So here's on the right hand side, nothing, and then that's a little bit too deep. So we're just going to basically try to do it a little bit, not too much, just to create a bit of an indentation there. Okay, and let go. Now let's zoom in a little bit. That's still a bit too deep, so what I'm going to do is just grab that line and pull it outwards and try it again. There. That's much better. Okay, fantastic. Okay, so that's one thing done. So I'm just going to zoom out. Okay, so we've done that. And next, all we need to do now is simply add the Sonos sign on the side of the speaker. So the way we're going to do that is simply by going to the text button. So we're going to add the text spline. So go ahead and click that. So as soon as you do that, you should be getting a very, very large text appearing on your screen like that. So just go to the text spline and just go to the text spline object properties and type in Sonos. All right. Now, you could leave this this font for now, and we can change it later. But the main point right now is to basically scale it so that it's going to fit on the speaker. So the speaker is really, really small. It's right over here. So we're just basically going to reduce it, reduce the size until we think it's about right. So now what we're going to do is just pull it out here, and we're going to spin it around. Oh, not that way. We're going to spin it around like that, and use the object properties coordinate, and just be very precise with this. So we want to spin it at 90. We then need to flatten it down. So what we want to do is spin it around the z-axis, and over here it was minus 999. I think that should be minus 90. And then we need to stand it up like that. So that would be 0. Okay. And now we're just going to basically raise it up to around about here, bring it into the speaker, and then just eyeball it in respect of where it needs to be. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to the top view. So now I can see where my speaker is, and I can, yep, so the gizmo here shows you where the text is. So I'm just going to move it a little bit. Let's go back to the front view so I can see what's going on. Yeah. Okay, so the actual text begins at the bottom of the writing. So I can move that to the middle, but it's okay. I think we should be fine. I'm going to now scale this again. So I'm going to hit T for scale, bring it down even smaller. There. Move it to the side. There, and let's see now if it's okay. And I'm going to place it so it's on the actual speaker. So I'm going to go back to the top view. So here you can see from the top view, right, if you're placing it on the speaker or not. So let's just leave it there for the time being. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go back to the text spline. I'm going to go to the object, and notice on the right hand side I'm not seeing the letters yet. That's because we haven't applied any texture on it. Let me just fix that. So I'm just going to put some texture on it. I'm just going to add an extrude function on top. So you just go here and hit extrude, and you should have this right now at the moment. Notice how it's just popped out a lot. So what we need to do is decrease the extrude from 100 centimeters down to 1. It's going to bring the extrude right narrow down there. So we're going to basically now be able to see the writing. And let's just decrease the extrude down to say 0.1. Okay, and that should be it essentially. But notice how the Sonos letters are very, very closely in. So we're going to go back to text, and you've got this horizontal spacing. So we're just going to increase the spacing. That's a little bit too much. Let's go something like 25. That's much better. Okay, so now we've got the Sonos writing in place. We have also completed the model. Let's have a quick spin around and see if everything is in order. Oh, notice that how here we've got everything's a little bit deformed. That could impact the texturing a little bit later. So let's have a quick look at this. Okay, I see. We might have to add another horizontal line above the button that will basically stop this from happening. So let's go ahead and click the speaker body again. Yeah, so if I do a simple cut, now it's cleaned it up. So now I've got a much cleaner bit above, and now I don't have that indentation. There's a little bit of a slight indentation happening here, but that's way better. Okay, excellent. Okay, so that's about it. There's nothing else that we need to do to the model. I think the model is ready to go. We can ship it out. The only thing that I would recommend is potentially just when you're eyeballing this thing, just make sure that we're not excessively going inwards, so it's standing out too much. So you want a bit of a very subtle indentation rather than a very thick one, and that's just going to require a little bit of patience just to get it right, so you're not overdoing it and you're also not underdoing it. Okay, all right, and I think we're there. Okay, all right guys, so this is our Sonos speaker. Next, it's all going to be about placing the correct textures on this model. So what we're going to do is we're going to go to a website where we can download some free textures. So there is a website called 3dtextures.me. We'll grab a plastic texture and apply it to the model. Okay, thank you folks. See you later. Bye bye.